Hello YouTube, ZeroMagnumX here. I know I've been giving you guys a lot of videos, especially with like the gadget decks I've been doing, the tokens, and so on. The only thing I have with that as an issue is that, first, you guys really aren't looking at that stuff, so my guess is you aren't that interested in it, you don't really care. Something that I kind of speculated that you might care about is this deck right in front of you, is the Meklords. Surprisingly, you guys have been quite amazing. I only have like near 750 subscribers, and the old Meklord deck has over 2,000 views, and the updated one has 420 views. So what I thought I would do is give you guys a look at the updated deck, since I've been having this on the back burner because of all my other projects, and a discussion video. The comments I get on these Meklord decks are incredible. They are fantastic. They are amazing. You guys give so much feedback, so much thought into this deck, and I am shocked. Like, I never thought that this deck would get that much attention. So what I'm going to do for you guys, and ask me, or let me know what you think in the comment section and so on. I want to know if you guys want me to start a Meklord series discussing different cards. You guys will be free whenever I mention about cards in a series to comment and say, I tried this out and this worked for me. Please don't give me suggestions on the deck if you haven't tested it out yet. And what I mean by testing is like thorough testing. We have Dueling Network. We have different kinds of regionals and locals to go with. If you say, I used this deck, it got second at my locals, and it beat Dark World, Tengu Plant, I don't know, Agents, and something else, some random deck that was there, and lost to, I don't know, this deck, so you got like second or third place at your locals. Awesome. You could tell me what's effective in the deck. Please also understand that you guys need to know your rollings on certain cards. Like, for instance, I had somebody, I can't remember who, off the top of my head, and they were like, oh yeah, sending and destroying are the same thing. No, they're not. The person mentioned alter for tribute for this deck. It does not work. It is sending, not destroying. The Meklords have to activate their effects whenever they're destroyed. So that's something to consider. And that's kind of where you get your power around the deck type itself. And it's surprisingly good. It just runs into a few problems. Black Queens are a challenging game for this deck. Tengu Plants, I haven't faced the new Tengu Plants with this, but really, the old Tengu Plant deck wasn't that hard to beat with, you know, 3 Librarian and other cards. The only reason I lost with this deck, whenever I had it at locals, was because of an early Trishula play and an early, on 2 games, and an early Gores play. So the first game, they got Gores on me, and then they were able to go into Trishula and end up killing the issue and stopping me and whatever else have you. I mean, they killed the field I had and everything. Game 2, I completely stomped them. I annihilated them. Game 3, we were back and forth until they got that Trisha play out and that Gores play, and then they just took the game from there. So I had them down to, like, I don't know, it was low in life points. It was something like 1,700 or something, and then they just turned it around. But that's why I think that Synchro Summon, or Synchro Plant, whatever you want to call it, is the technical best deck of the format, because it has the most consistency in matchups. And that's whenever you can tell a deck is good, whenever it's got the best matchups against the most amount of decks. So, meta-wise, I think that's the key deck you guys want to try out if you're going to it, because it just has explosive, good cards in it. It produces a ton of advantage. However, like I said, in my new description, if you guys look on the channel, this channel is now going to be dedicated to original deck ideas. It's going to be dedicated to mostly a lot of deck work, a lot of thoughts on things. What else? Probably, I would say, minimal pack openings, because you guys see that enough. I mean, I don't think anyone out there, unless they really want it and have the ability to trade for it, cares if I pull a tour guide from the underworld or not. I mean, you might, but you may not, and so on and so forth, and you would probably just want it. Okay? That's just an example. So you guys probably don't care. I mean, I may do my tin openings and a couple of other things, but that's because they're tins, and I rarely have openings on my channel, so I kind of think they're alright. Binder updates. You guys don't really like those either. So until I get good stuff, I'm just not going to put my binders up. If you guys want to negotiate on trades and say I have this and you want that, well, we'll talk about it. Things that are going to be going up on the channel. Okay, artwork. Because I have an art class, so I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh related art or Yu-Gi-Oh inspired pieces. I started my first piece today, and with the remaining couple of weeks, I think I'm going to put a few of those up and things like that. I don't know. Likewise, I think I'm going to start this series, if you guys want me to. It'll be called Mechanizing the Meklords. The point of the series, alright, is not like a deck profile. Okay, it will be Meklord discussion. It'll be talking about the Meklords themselves, the deck. It'll be talking about getting back to the roots of deck building too. Things that work, things that don't work. Just, you know, a plethora of options. So, I'm going to give you guys, and this is going to be a long video, and I do apologize, but it'll be worth it. Alright? I'm going to give you guys the deck profile, and I'm going to discuss why the deck is built like it is. Okay? For various reasons. Whether it comes down to I don't have the card, or whether it comes down to this is good, I've test played the deck, etc, etc. I took this deck over 4 rounds to 2nd place. Locals way back when they're on the old list, whenever Sam's and that were kind of around. So it does well. It can be competitive. So I hope you guys enjoy this. It's kind of a budget deck, and it serves me well. Alright, so we're going to go with the deck list itself. We have 1 Weisel, 3 Baby Granule, as I call it, so that's Meklord Army of Granule. Okay. 3 Meklord Army of Skeel, because he's the Ember's Blade of the deck. Okay. 3 Malefic Cyber End Dragons. Okay. 2 Ancient Gear Gachilotron Dragons. 2 Machina Fortress. Okay. 1 Emperor Weisel. And 2 Emperor Granule. And then the non-machines of the deck, 2 Effect Veiler. Okay. Spells and Traps. 1 Reborn. Dark Hole. Double Smashing Ground. Limiter. 3 Gear Town. 1 Fortress. 2 Terraforming. 1 Heavy. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon. Okay. Trap cards. 2 Compulsory. 1 Dust Shoot. 1 Fiendish Chain. 1 Torrential. And 1 Mirror Force. Alright. Discussion on the deck. The spells and traps are pretty set. They're just helpful spells and traps. But I'm going to go over the Meklord strategy itself and why certain cards are in here. Okay, I don't think I need to explain Effect Veiler or Machina Fortress. It's a machine deck, and Effect Veiler is a good card. So, I don't think I need to talk about those. Ooh. I think I do need to talk about the Meklords themselves and the heavy beaters in the deck. Okay. The reason this deck is powerful is because it as silly as it may sound, it is an anti-meta strategy, because right now, the meta outside of Xyz monsters is, in fact, using, you know, powerful cards that can wipe you out easily that are called synchro monsters. We've been around them for a while. We know how they play. We know how they work. Alright? And these guys kind of try to put a stop to that. You may not think that's an effective strategy, but considering 90% of meta decks synchro summon, it's pretty ineffective. Alright, the first thing I'm going to discuss is why I don't have certain cards in this deck, and why the certain cards in this deck are in here. Okay, first up, okay, we're going to talk about the big beater set here. Alright. The reason these guys are in here is because the idea behind this deck is to keep your huge beaters on the field, to constantly recycle them. If you're pounding your opponent between 3,000 and 4,000 attack points of monsters, it's hard to keep up, especially this guy right here. He stops things like Dimensional Prison and Mirror Force and so on. He can kill your opponent very, very quickly. Believe me, I've used him and people don't like him because I say, I'm entering battle phase. Would you like to do anything? So that what I mean basically is, do you have Compulsory, Wabaku, or Threatening Roar? If the answer is no to those three things, okay, outside of him getting to the field and being summoned, and that's successful, I'm generally attacking you with him, because he stops trap cards and quick play spell cards from being activated in the battle phase. So if they miss their timing or forget or whatever, he gets around Mirror Force, he gets around Dimensional Prison, cards that would be a threat. Alright, he just keeps on trucking. I've had people have set Mirror Forces and Dimensional Prisons, and he just keeps battling and swinging, and they can't do anything about it. Do not underestimate this guy. Secondly, the reason he's in here is because he works fantastically with the field spell. If they Heavy Storm when my field spell is out, along with the next point, this guy, okay, this guy dies, sure, this guy comes out to replace him. So we go from big 4,000 beat stick that just keeps, you know, knocking off monsters and life points, into 3,000 beat stick that they can't use spell and traps during the battle phase until the end of the damage step. Alright, Gear Town and this are an amazing start off combo, and that's the typical combo of the deck. So your field, so hopefully the way this deck is set up, you'll have Gear Town at the ready. This is your key card. Setting the Gear Town combo can also spam Ancient Gear Gachilotron Dragon. I've had double Gachilotrons out, and it was a problem for my opponent. Alright. Okay. Other things, too, like, alright. One of the, possibly the coolest moves you can do in this deck. You have Gear Town out, and you special summon him. Alright? You get rid of Gear Town. So you get this onto the field, Ancient Gear. And then, from there, hopefully you have Granul and you haven't taken life point damage yet. So Granul special summons himself, so you have a 3,000 and 4,000 beater. A 3,000 beater that gets around Mirror Force, and a 4,000 beater that's probably hitting your opponent directly and can absorb synchro monsters. That's pretty brutal in the game state, so that's why this engine exists in the deck. Alright, now I'm going to go over the other guys, like the smaller ones. You're probably thinking, well, if you have such great beaters, why do you have little guys in here? Let me explain. Alright, this deck plays two games. Okay, it plays the I need to kind of stall, search, and hit my opponent game with Xyz monsters and what else have you, and the build-up game. Or it plays the I'm going to kill you fast game. These guys are good because if they die by battle, you get another one. And if they can't keep killing them, they get bigger per Meklord you have on the field, which is helpful. Like this guy gets 200 attack more for each other Meklord on the field besides himself. So he can get into being a 2,000 attacker if you have, let's say, like a Granul out, a baby Granul, him, and another Meklord, just because you ended up somehow getting all that onto the field. It's very, very useful, I would say, because people don't expect a little 1,200 searching monster to become a 1,600 to 1,800 beat stick. it really can throw your opponent off guard. So he's the searcher, plus he can grow bigger. Alright, that's why he's in here. Okay, Weisel. Weisel is in here for two primary reasons, and he only needs to be a 1-of. He is 1800 and it instantly becomes 1900 as soon as you throw another Meklord onto the field, and he has Pierce. So you have a 1900 beat stick that has piercing if they're playing the defensive game, and you can throw damage their way. And in an OTK deck, that's important to stack as much damage on your opponent as you can get. Finally, these guys. Okay, they're not as amazing as Gel, because Gel can constantly have and have and have, but they're really good for a Meklord deck because they can, let's say you're versing Dark Worlds and there's a Grapha sitting there and it's got 3000 attack because of the field spell. You wipe out their only back row or whatever, and then you summon him. You attack over Grapha. It gets rid of the problem then and there, but Grapha can come back. But it's not bad to play that game. Granul's good, but you got to use him wisely. He's basically there to... He can also win games, because I've had a situation where I've had Malefic and Dragon on the field. They've had low enough life points. I summon Granul, have their monster, and basically kill them for that turn. So it's helpful. If nothing else, you can ditch him for Machina Fortress. So he's there for that reason. Alright. My decision on these guys. You're probably like, well, where's skill, or why not 3 Granul, why 2 Granul, why 1 Weisel, why not 2 Weisel, 2 Granul, and so on. 3 works. I mean, I don't have them all the time as much as I'd like, but for room purposes, 3 seems to be the magic number for the way this deck flows. The purpose behind it, the reason I only have 2 Granul is because if you have somehow taken life point damage, which can happen very easily, he's not as big. He's great whenever he's a 4000 beater, but he doesn't have his own solid attack and defense. So, I mean, if they had given him something and he gained the attack, that'd be cool, but he doesn't. So, gotta be careful. And he's the most powerful of them, but also the weakest in terms of attack and defense. Weisel over skill. Attacking directly is cool, but I think Weisel is just... I think he's just better. Because he can negate... He's half a Sheehan. I can stop your spell card once per turn. So that can be really, really useful. I mean, you're going to probably try and do something and then, like, maybe go, oh, mind control. He negates it. If they have another dark hole, well, okay, yeah. But they still wasted that one spell card. So he's useful as well in the deck. Text to consider. And this is the... Well, I'm going to wrap the deck up here, because the camera's on red battery. But text to consider, if you don't like this setup and you really want to run something like Max C, these two can be replaced for warnings. I just wouldn't suggest running Granul, then I'd probably run 3 Weisel if you're going to do that. So so it doesn't matter as much. But if you guys really are like, I want to run this or that, my suggestion then, if you really would want to run Max C, remove 1 Army Granul and 1 Fiendish Chain and add in 2 Max C. It could give the deck benefits. I just don't have the Max Cs to give it a try out and see. I hope over break I get to try it on Dueling Network and see where it benefits me and how it does. I just know that this deck is very amazing, and then also has some problems against select decks. The idea behind this build too is that you kill your opponent hard and fast. So if you're not doing that with the deck, be careful. That's all I can say. Likewise, let me know what you guys think about starting a series talking about tech cards. Like I mentioned the first one, which is Max C, and then there's a ton of cards that can go in this deck because it's a new evolving deck archetype. It's not that old, and it has a lot of potential. So with that said, just let me know what you guys think. If you guys have tested out Meklords, and what you like, what you don't like about the deck, and even what you guys may want to see for content on the channel. What you guys liked, what you didn't, and so on. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry that it's so long, but long. update video along with the Meklords. Peace, YouTube, and have a good night.